Is NASCAR's playoff format broken? Alright, how's it going, guys? Everybody on the internet seems to either love that Ryan Blaney won the championship or absolutely hate the fact that Ryan Blaney won the championship. And in every other sport, fans love a Cinderella story. Not in NASCAR, though. Ryan Blaney came into the playoffs as the 14th seeded driver, and he goes on to win the title, the lowest seeded driver since Jimmy Johnson won it in 2016 when he was the 11th seeded driver. And now fans are super upset over the fact that Blaney won. And I just don't really understand it because this is exactly what NASCAR wanted. And in all honesty, Blaney's not the first guy that would be undeserving of winning the title. And fans are justifying it by saying that he didn't have the best numbers all year. He didn't have the most top 5s, didn't have the most top 10s, only had 3 wins. And then you have a guy that has more wins, William Byron, Kyle Larson, not win the championship. And people are upset about that. Except we've seen this happen before. And now they're all out here outraged like they're Cleveland fans when LeBron left, and I truly don't understand it. Blaney went 16 weeks this year without a top 5 finish. He went from the Coke 600 in May, where he won, to Talladega in October, where he won. So that entire streak was bookended by wins, and over that 16-week period, he never had a top 5 finish. He had multiple top 10s, but that's not, the results that you would like to see from a champion. And that's the lowest number of top 5s for a champion, 8, since Kyle Busch had only 12 in 2015, and he missed 11 races that year. And people are super upset by this. But the thing is, the way NASCAR set up this playoffs doesn't reward consistency throughout the year. NASCAR doesn't care how good you are from Daytona until you get to Phoenix. All they really care about is how good you are in these final 10 weeks, and even then, you don't actually have to be that good because Ryan Blaney floated through the first round, he wins at Talladega, he goes on to win at Martinsville, and then he just finishes the best amongst the Champ 4 in Phoenix, and he wins the title. And people seem to be upset by that, but he just played the game. NASCAR set the rules, don't hate the player, hate the game type of thing. Ryan Blaney and his team just kind of perfected that. They got hot at the right time. They're like the 2007 New York Giants. It just doesn't really make any sense. But, when it came down to it, they were good when it mattered. And I see people complaining that, they want to see a 36-race championship. And personally, I would love to see that because I think that's how a championship should be decided because I think consistency and how good you are throughout the season should truly matter. Winning once, getting yourself into the playoffs, and then only having to essentially, all he had to do was be good in 4 races. Not even that. He only actually had to be really good. Well, I'll take it back. He did have to be good in basically 4 races. He wins once in the regular season, great. Wins once in the round of 12, wins once in the round of 8, and then he has to be good at Phoenix. So 4 out of those 36 races, that's all he had to be good at. And that's exactly what they were. The rest of the time, they could run really mediocre for the most part. And that's how they get through. As long as they were decent in the round of 12, they were going to move on. And they did. And people are not happy about that. And I get it. I completely understand that aspect of it. What I don't understand are why fans think that the driver with the best numbers and the most wins has to win the championship. Because that's absolutely not true. And more often than not more often than not, but a bunch of times we see the driver with the most wins doesn't win the championship, especially in this playoff format era. In 2020, Kevin Harvick won 9 times, doesn't even get to race for a championship. Chase Elliott wins the title. He has 5 wins, which is still a heck of a season. That's great for him. Denny Hamlin has 7 wins that year, doesn't win the championship. And all these fans are hung up on the fact that if you have the most wins, you should be the champion. Jeff Gordon in 1996, even over the course of a 36-race championship, had 10 wins that season. He lost the championship to Terry Labonte, who had 2 wins. It happens. Things like that happen all the time. So it's possible on both ends of this. In 2003, Matt Kenseth wins the championship with only 1 win. There were definitely guys out there that had more wins than Matt Kenseth, and here we are with Matt Kenseth being a champion, and people didn't seem upset about that at the time. NASCAR was super upset about it because there was some dumb fans on a message board somewhere probably that were like, well, I think that the guy that wins the championship should win more than just 1 time. And I don't think that it matters. Matt Crafton in 2019 won a Truck Series championship in an elimination playoff format without ever winning a race. That's absurd. He broke the system. And so all these fans get upset about it, and they're like, oh, we can't have this happen anymore. And now they're taking out all of their anger seemingly on Ryan Blaney because he didn't have enough top 5s for them. And I just don't get that. And sure, I completely agree. NASCAR's playoff format is inherently broken. Because like I said, it really only puts emphasis on being good essentially 4 times a year. And Martin Truex Jr. was good through the entire regular season, stunk in the playoffs. I mean, historically bad in the postseason right here. If this was a normal type of stick and ball sports, he would have been bounced in the first round immediately, like he was the Tampa Bay Lightning. It would have been done. Instead, he gets to carry those regular season and playoff points and to carry him on into the round of 8, and he had absolutely no business being there. I've seen some people call Ryan Blaney's championship a Mickey Mouse championship. Well, that doesn't really sit well with me because like in 2015, when Kyle Busch missed 11 races, didn't have to go throughout the whole year, ends up winning the title. Was that a Mickey Mouse championship? Or in 2016, Jimmy Johnson was the 11th seed, had no business actually winning that race at Homestead. Probably shouldn't have. I think there were some people that definitely did not pass him because they didn't want to. And then he was gifted that championship after Joey Logano spun out Carl Edwards, because that was Carl Edwards' championship. I think everybody knows that. Is that championship for Jimmy Johnson a Mickey Mouse championship? But 2018, Joey Logano wasn't the best driver that year. Mickey Mouse for him? I don't know. It's debatable. 2020, Kevin Harvick had 9 wins. Chase Elliott had 5. Is that a Mickey Mouse championship? No, because it's Chase Elliott. And now you have Ryan Blaney winning the title, and everyone's like, his numbers aren't good enough. He doesn't deserve to be the champion. I don't know what to tell you guys. Is the value of a NASCAR Cup Series championship the same as it was pre-elimination style format? Absolutely not. I can 100% agree with that. But we have seen guys go throughout the season and end up winning the title. Kyle Larson had 10 wins in 2021, wins the championship, absolutely deserved to have that. Joey Logano last year, again, didn't have the most speed all year. He was consistently around, but I wouldn't consider him to be the best driver all year. He wins the title. Go back to 2014, Kevin Harvick, probably the best car that year, at least had the most speed week in and week out. 2017, Martin Truex Jr., easily the best car all year, wins the championship. So it does happen. But NASCAR is never going to change how this format works. And that's super unfortunate. I know that's not what people want to hear, but it just is what it is. And honestly, they probably should look at changing it because this elimination playoff format hasn't increased the ratings. If anything, the ratings have gone down even further. And NASCAR talked about this week where they're like, we're happy that the ratings are only down 5% because they were down 15% earlier in the year. Well, ratings for playoff races year over year are down. I haven't actually ran the numbers, but on average, we've seen them be down anywhere from 16% to 2%. So just kind of coming up with an average there, ratings for the playoffs are probably down around 7%, if not more, year over year. Not ideal for anybody. And this whole elimination style format was meant to bring more fans in, to create this drama and everything like that, and just hasn't, especially having a race for the championship at Phoenix like that. You got to be a pretty diehard to want to sit through, 3 hours of that nonsense. So yes, the playoff system is broken. Ideally, if they want to keep the playoffs happening, we just revert back to what it was. 10 races, most points at the end of those 10 races wins. You can still have your playoff points. You can still have your regular season point champion as well. They can take those little bonuses in, but there's no resetting after 3 races. We just go straight to the end. I think that's probably the best way to do it. So we'll see what happens going forward. NASCAR is not going to admit defeat in any of this. They're going to 100% keep this format around. I just don't think that Blaney's the guy that we should, or fans rather, should take out their anger on, because it's not his fault. He did exactly what NASCAR wanted. NASCAR put emphasis on winning. They didn't say how much you had to win. He wins 3 times, wins the championship. All NASCAR said is you have to win to get in, and then they would like to see you win in the playoffs to win the championship. Blaney did just that. He was good 4 races this year, and that's really what came down to deciding the champion. And it stinks for William Byron. It stinks for Kyle Larson. And, Christopher Bell had 2 wins this year, so he was still there, but he was a lot more consistent throughout the year than Blaney was. But when it came down to it, Ryan Blaney and that 12 team got it done, and they definitely had the fastest car on Sunday amongst the championship 4 as well. So let me know in the comments, are you mad at Blaney for winning the title? And how do you want to see the playoffs formatted? And obviously, I think we all agree 36 races was probably the best approach for it, because some years you're going to have absolute banger championship battles. And even this year, we would have a pretty close one going into the final race. Some years you're going to have a guy win it a day early or a week early, and that's totally fine. Not everything should be this Game 7 moment, because I would argue that we really haven't had a Game 7 moment in the playoff era outside of really Jimmy Johnson in 2016 and that wreck with Carl Edwards and Joey Logano. That was the most drama that we've seen out of a playoff race. Other than that, they've been pretty straightforward. Everybody kind of tiptoes around them until this weekend. And, you know, it is what it is. So let me know in the comments, like and subscribe to the channel, follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram and Twitter @BreakHardBlog.